People on YouTube just love scary stories about how recklessly the government prints money. Mortgage bailout, T.A.R.P, Troubled Assets Relief Program, Paulson's hedge fund. The Treasury Secretary, along with the Democrats in Congress, insisted it was crucial something be done immediately to stop the banks from going under due to all the foreclosures. Bush, I believe, wanted to set an example, a precedent, if you will, of the proper way to do this, if indeed it ever had to be done again. And apparently it has had to be done again, and again, and again, and again, and most likely again, and again, and again. And again, the two of them probably considered it urgent to get this done before the arrival of the next Secretary of the Treasury, a certain Mr. Geithner, former Fed head of the state of New York. Say, does anybody find it curious that both Treasury guys, the old one and the new one, are Goldman Sachs veterans? What's the chance this whole bailout scheme has been conceived years ago at Goldman Sachs Ivory Tower Executive Headquarters Spa and Sauna located somewhere in the Catskills? Any takers to that conspiracy theory? Jim Cramer, any comment? All that was shown to people was some cabinet meeting, McCain sitting there silently playing with his ballpoint pen. He has admitted he did not know much about the economy, and during an election season when a candidate is trying to win hearts and minds of as many dumb little spoiled brat American voters as possible, to simply do nothing about the challenges facing average American citizens makes it look like the candidate is cold and out of touch. Paulson on his knees, they say, begging for the bailout, and the Democrats, with their most helpful buddies in the media, succeeded in creating widespread panic. Democrat motives for desiring this bailout. Just consider how much they love big government. Democrats saw this as a way to take over the banking and the insurance sectors of the economy before the election outcome, in case Obama lost, so they could still gain even more government control and ownership of private sector enterprises, whether or not Barack Obama won the presidency and whether or not they held majority status on Capitol Hill.
So a few weeks later, Paulson steps up to the microphone and says that the $700 billion will not actually be used to buy troubled mortgages. Instead, he's going to use it to buy stock in the banks. Bush and Paulson probably thought that it was not a good idea to simply hand over all that cash to the likes of wealth redistributing Marxists like Barney Frank, Christopher Dodd, Rahm Emanuel, Franklin Raines, and Jamie Gorelicker as a reward for all the poor performance and shadiness and corruption of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and all the porked out pet projects Democrats love, such as affordable housing, which they seem to believe actually means free housing. These are the same people who had already thrown away, or kept for themselves, or their friends, or should I say cronies, such an unbelievably mind-boggling amount of money, taxpayer dollars. And these are the people who should truly be held accountable for initiating this so-called crisis.
Being as the money sits in stocks, Paulson can yank the funds from one bank should he not like the performance of said bank, and then stick the money in another bank and give them a crack at it. It's probably better that way instead of simply delivering piles of cash to banks and asking, please put it towards fixing the foreclosures. Everybody should be able to profit. Just a question of when. When can they sell? It seems like the success and profitability of the bailout will partially depend upon how much time the bailout money is left sitting in bank stocks. As long as the money experiences capital gains in the stock of a particular bank within a shorter period of time than that same amount of money would gain an interest if an investor simply saved their money in a bank account. That kind of means the government, Paulson and his successor, will have to buy and hold. Many investors will want to sell off their bank stocks if the overall economic picture starts to deteriorate in the coming year 2009, then the government might see it as an opportunity to buy stock in that bank, and in doing so, the Treasury Department will gain power and influence as a shareholder in that bank. And therein lies the risk of this little scheme. Eventually, once the government owned the bank based upon percentage of the total number of shares of stock owned by the government could, I think, possibly just decide to forgive the bank's debt, which would now actually be the government's own debt.
No. Wait. The government being a major shareholder in the bank tells the bank not to sweat the lost mortgage interest income, because the government authorized through the Treasury and the Mint and the Federal Reserve and the Congress and the President and even the Senate cafeteria to have this money printed to buy the stock of the bank, which the bank then uses to recoup its lost mortgage money, which really came out of your IRA and savings accounts, and that you can't spend right now anyway. And so it don't matter that it's not really money yet per se. It will be by the time you're old enough to spend it. Capiche? Yeah. Well, I guess we shouldn't worry about our money then. Seeing that the government and the bank will now be, or will soon be, one and the same, isn't that, well, I'll make another video about that someday. Put it this way, all you people who say that we should be more like Germany and France, well, we're gonna be. I told you about the fool up on the hill. I told you, man, he's living there still. And here's another clue for you all. The walrus was Paul. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.